There's the
That's huge.
yeah, those are cute. But imagine what if it's watermelon whiskey for which everybody should. That's there's two. Yeah, he invited me, and I kept trying to get there, and I was like, no, it's good. It's good.
Correct.
So it is a special.
Yes.
Including park.
All right, well, in that case, everybody ready?
Ready, put your microphones in front of your faces.
I do have the microphone for my face. I'm waiting for Jared to say, you ready? Okay. All right. No invocation tonight. I'm gonna call to order the. Good, if he wants. Hey, Larry, can you hear me?
Not off, so Dylan went to go call.
Okay, well, let's wait till he's on and then I take that back, so. Take it back.
Y'all see,
Yeah, if he wants to, I mean, we can ask. Worst case is he says,
he may have gotten
well, he's not even there.
busy.
First of all, we got to get him
Lot
online.
going.
He does. Why don't we not have him? Because he's got a lot going on, but he would be a good backup.
Yes, he would, always.
I
He should
agree.
always- We don't
Well,
have one, he should always be
I
asked.
will ask him.
Make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Vote. Vote no. The person making the motion votes no. That would be also an interesting thing.
I've done that. Because when it comes around to it, you're like, oh,
That was a dumb idea I did, you know. Are we still recording? Okay, we're still recording.
correct.
Okay.
That's exactly.
Ah.
More discussion.
If I didn't want it something, I don't think I would make a motion just to put it out there. That would be just the opposite. I would say, no,
No, that's a good thing.
let somebody else do it.
Oh, I said you make a good cup of coffee. Yeah, it's strong, but
Okay.
I weakened it.
Gibbs proud.
All right. Weakened it, yeah.
my coffee sticks start to stay upright.
Is this going to be a long wait? Do we need to stop recording? Because we're talking about coffee now online.
Husband's friends retired. Yeah, maybe he makes.
You ever make me coffee? Never make me coffee. I like weak coffee.
You were in the Navy though.
I know, and I was just the opposite. And in
Give them 3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay.
3 minutes.
But yeah, coffee, you're right. The cups on the squadron and the ready room were like black on the
Oh, yeah.
bottom. You know, most disgusting ever. You had to use steel wool to clean them. We're still recording, right? Okay, good.
Just talking about Navy coffee.
Yeah, it's, and
Anyway,
it's
it
no,
says
no
on-
cream,
you
no
know,
sugar,
advise us.
just really dark, strong coffee. My son-in-law loves that dark coffee like that. We can't drink it. I mean, I put as much milk as I can in it.
I
It gets
think where
cold.
he could offer a course on coffee. I'm just saying.
Good. You could.
Yeah.
I heard our city manager could probably hook you up on some coffee beans.
Make flavored coffee and then the whole council will be there every morning, you know?
Maybe we could have our own roaster.
No, Jared tried that. He did his own roaster. That didn't work out, did it? Okay, yeah. So, I think just get the beans and grind them. Okay, what else can we talk about?
That was some impressive lightning earlier today.
This evening?
Yeah. it was
Yeah,
nice and sunny
I was
and
gonna take my
lightning.
scooter and I'm like, no, I think I'll take the car.
They
Because-
took fun out of
Sa-
it.
Mary Esther's mayor, Mr. Duda, lightning strike.
Yeah, I thought, no, I'm gonna take the car. That was not a, it was dark up there. It was
Second
dark.
one. On Friday the 13th. Yeah, I know.
Hmm. Oh, well.
He was immediately summoned to the Lord is what the obituary said.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to text me that phrase. I'm gonna use that in that's how I want to go out in my bed. Immediate, most of my thinking, me to the Lord.
Yeah, it works.
I'll shut the wrist.
So he
He's
did,
all alone down there.
yeah, way down yonder. He's got seats on both sides and that's right. You can steal all three bowls.
In an airplane, that would be great.
I know.
I had that happen on my way back from Germany.
Yeah, put the chairs together.
No, on my way
So-
back from Germany, I had no one.
I
in my-
wonder
I
if
mean, I
Carter
was able to
knew
lay
about the
flat
meeting?
both flights.
He knew
That's
about it.
fantastic. That's how I was both flights.
He just needs 3 minutes to
Oh, she got lucky.
get dressed. Huh? Oh, technical difficulty.
I'm like, that's amazing.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, let's talk about Sean. How you doing? Okay.
Could you
You can
give us your name and?
Yeah.
Are you talking tonight?
We're gonna have to give him a button.
No, okay. Thought
Those
I'd
buttons.
ask. I just-
What's the most times he has told us his name for the record?
Dylan?
A lot,
Like 8 or 9.
a lot. Yeah, because he just stands there. Yeah, a lot.
He's only been here a year. 2 years.
Mm.
But I think in one meeting, he's done maybe like 8 or 9 times.
Yeah, you know what that is? That's a good student right there.
Gets a gold star.
We need to update our picture.
Think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we wait for Larry to come back.
Oh, okay.
Unless you want to hold a.
Can't you cut and paste him in there?
Yeah,
I was gonna say, Photoshop him in. What,
like they do soccer teams.
he's gonna look the same, probably, if anything, older, so he'd probably like that picture, you know? I mean, that's what, like, he's 4 years old. That's 4 years old, right?
Shop Richard in.
Yeah, because it was, he's up for election, so that's way, way back. Hmm. Oh, well. Or 2 years at least.
All we need is Richard. We can just put Richard's.
Yeah, just Photoshop Richard in there, and that'd be cheaper yet. That'd be, yeah, okay.
Here he is.
Hey, Larry.
Yeah, sorry about that, gentlemen, ladies.
Not a problem, not a problem. You ready to go?
Yes, sir.
did you ask?
Huh?
He's doing-
Oh, would you like to do the invocation tonight?
Sure, why not?
Okay, you got it. Go for it.
Let us pray. Father, we stop and pause knowing that wisdom, understanding comes from you. We ask, God, that you'll grant us insight, that we will decide things that will touch the lives of the men and women that live in Mary Esther. We cannot do this apart from you. We thank you for the councilmen, the dedication, their many sacrifices. We thank you for our mayor and all the staff of Mary Esther. Now grant us what only can come from you. May our time together be progressive and productive. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. That's good for an off-the-cuff. Okay. You did a good job. Anyway, we're calling to order the special meeting of the City of Mary Esther City Council, July 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, now I would ask the city clerk for a roll call of the council.
Councilmember Sutton,
Here.
Councilmember Coxwell.
Here.
Councilmember Lawson,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Oder.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Now I would like to add Mr. Carter to our meeting tonight if we could. Do I have a motion for Councilman Carter to participate virtually?
I'll make that motion.
I have a first.
I'll second.
I have a second. Let's go ahead and vote, please. Okay, it's unanimous. Larry, you're in. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Tonight is item number 5 is approval of the agenda. Tonight, it's not that long. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make the motion.
I have a first
I'll second.
and I have a second. Discussion? Okay, let's go ahead and vote. How do you vote, Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Thank you. And it's unanimous. Great. Item number 6 is new business. 6.1 is the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget and 5-year capital improvement plan. Take it away, City Manager.
No, okay. Mayor and council, so we have the draft fiscal year 2026 budget and 5-year CIP that's in your packet. What I'd like to do is go over some of the highlights first, and then after that, if you'd like, we can certainly go into some of the detailed sheets, but that is entirely up to you. So some of the assumptions that we used in putting together this budget, the millage rate is the same, so the same property tax rate as in past years. I believe that's the same rate for the past 5 years. Is that right?
At least, maybe 6.
at least 5 years. I know it's been the same since I've been here. And so what that means is if you're somebody that has homesteaded property, then your tax rate, your city taxes will not go up by more than 3% if your property is homesteaded. So I think that's really important to note for folks. We anticipate up to a 15% increase in property and liability insurance. So we don't have the final numbers yet, but that is what we have budgeted. We're recommending a 5% increase for water and sewer rates to keep pace with inflation. 5% was roughly what the CPI index was for water, sewer, and refuse this past year. The other piece to that is that if you recall, Florida Rural Water Association developed an asset management plan for the city along with proposed rate increases. They showed proposed rate increases for water of, let me see if, make sure I have this, of water for 10% from years 2025 to 2030 and sewer at 5%. So this is a little bit lower than that for the sewer. A 3% cost of living adjustment for city staff. That was based on the CPI from the prior year of 3%. The general fund budget that you have in front of you includes an emergency reserve of $2,140,687 for disasters and emergencies, which is 20% of the budgeted expenditures in the general fund. And then also has an unassigned balance of a little over $2.2 million. The utilities fund would have an unassigned balance of $4,963,649. And then if this budget moved forward as proposed, the discretionary sales tax fund would have a zero balance. So essentially, all of that funding would be going towards projects. Any questions on those assumptions? No? If not, let's see if I can work the clicker. And you've already got it on the right page. So it might be a little difficult to read, but it is in your packet. What we do every year when we put together the budget is, yes, it's important to see revenues less expenditures, but the most important thing to do is to be able to see if you have a structural surplus or deficit. So if you are just operating, what does the budget look like? Do you have enough revenues coming in to cover your operating expenses? And so you do see that there is a deficit in this proposed budget. And there are a couple reasons for that. One of the biggest reasons is that this is the lowest increase in property values that we've had since I've been here for the last 5 years. So we've typically been between 7 and 15% increase in property values. This year, it's about 2%. I don't think it will shock anybody to know the reason for that. One is that housing values have pretty much been stagnant or have declined a little bit. The other is the parts of the mall are slowly coming down. So that has an impact on it as well. Finally, one of the other increases that we had in this budget is in animal control services. And so the past, we've budgeted about $5,000. We have $30,000 in this current budget. And so that is so that hopefully we're able to get an animal control contract here soon. So those are the kind of the big changes there. Any questions? So on the general fund, there's a few kind of options that we can look at for dealing with this deficit. One is that with all of the projects that we have planned, our end-of-year reserves are still budgeted at almost $4.5 million. So we still have very healthy reserves. So you could proceed as is currently budgeted. We could check in at mid-year and see if you want to make adjustments. Beyond a year, certainly myself and the finance director would be coming to you and saying we need to make some significant changes because that's not sustainable over the long term. And so that's one option. Another is that, and this is going to sound a little odd, but the Azalea Park infrastructure project includes sidewalks. The sales tax fund we don't believe will have enough to fund those sidewalks. And so if you deferred those sidewalks, that would save about another $712,000. And so your reserves in general fund would then be closer to 5.2 million. So if you're concerned about the reserves, that would help a little bit. And then finally, we could look at making some reductions in the operating expenses, such as reducing the cost of living adjustment. We could look at staffing as well as adjusting any of our service contracts that we have. So we have a number of service contracts. Any questions or discussion?
Yeah, I got one quick one, on the Azalea sidewalk deal.
Uh-huh.
We have not done a survey to see if they even want sidewalks.
No, so we planned the project as though we would be installing sidewalks.
Right.
But we do have it in there as an additive alternate, meaning we get the bids, they come in, and if council decides to do the sidewalks, you have a price and you can decide to do them.
Okay.
But council doesn't have to move forward with the
I have a
sidewalks.
follow-up question on that one. Were the sidewalks for both sides or just one side?
Both sides.
So if we just did one side, it would cut that 712 in half roughly.
That would cut.
Okay.
That would cut it as well. And again, part of this too is we're making some assumptions there. So these are the projections that we have from the engineers as to the cost. We won't actually know until we open the bids. So, okay, if there are no more questions there, we can go to the other one, other button, see? Again, it's tiny. This just shows you all of our one-time revenues and one-time expenses. So the one-time expenses, those are primarily your capital projects. And so you can see the list of capital projects that we have on here. The biggest one being the Azalea Park Neighborhood Project, which is about $3 million. Also, the construction for the park at the end of Crystal Ball Road, that is funded with TDC dollars, so tourism dollars, but it does technically come out of our budget, and so it is shown there. And that's $969,204. And so you can see we have quite a few projects planned. There's over $5.6 million in the general fund in projects. We also have quite a few one-time revenues and grants to cover those. The one area that we did not include projects for, or I should say, we do have some in here for parks, but we're discussing the parks master plan now, and so we don't have any of those projects in here. I know at our council meeting there was a lot of discussion about the cemetery, and so if you wanted to, we could look at adding the design for the cemetery in this budget. But as of right now, we have not included that in this budget. So if you'd like, we can certainly get that estimate and bring that back to you.
I would like to see it, yes.
Mhm. I would like to see the cemetery, but as far as going forward with any parks, we need to complete Azalea Park before we touch another one.
Yeah, well, it'll be good to know where we sit at with what the cost would be for the cemetery. Especially since we all kind of agreed on the concept design.
Yeah, and it'll probably take, quite a bit of time to get the design done. So that's why we figured if you wanted to, we could at least start that process.
And-
Yeah.
Just one quick question. We're not going to put any more people in the cemetery until this project is complete. Is that the thought behind this thing?
That's what staff would recommend if you want to go through with either one of those concept designs.
Okay.
But just existing sold lots, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
So just
but I mean,
an
no
extension,
expansion.
No, probably
Yeah.
not.
So when people come and say, when can I buy a plot? The answer is no
Not yet, yeah.
until after
Mhm.
this improvement. Okay.
Does Larry have anything to say?
Larry, want to say something?
No, I concur with the sentiment of the council. Having it, the architectural drawing part, I think is, considering how long it's been in the works, I think that's, we can deal with that. And when we know what that looks like in price, we can then begin to look at how we're going to fund it. or when?
The other thing I'll add too is that project's a little different than other parks projects in the sense that it's not just doing the design. It's also looking at, what do we need to charge for a plot versus a columbarium space? And so there is some math involved in that as well. It's almost, if you will, like a business plan that you've got to bring forward. There are questions that staff will ask, like, do we want to cover the full cost of a space? Or is it going to be partial, so on and so forth? So those are the kind of questions that we would have to kind of work through. One of the first questions that I asked the engineering firm that prepared the conceptual designs was, what does it cost for a typical space? And they said, well, that depends. Do you want the private rate or the public rate? Because public cemeteries historically charge less than private market. Any other questions on those projects? If not, we will move on to utilities. Did I do that right? Going in the right direction? Maybe. Utilities would be 47.
47, thank you.
Okay.
Scrolling.
All right. So on the utilities, as I mentioned, we do have a 5% rate adjustment, which is consistent with past years as well as with the asset management plan. This fund has a healthier balance, but there's a reason for it. So we have a number of projects where we have not started paying the debt service yet. So the Springdale project on the west side of town, we're not paying all of the debt service for that yet. And so, yes, this proposed budget does have a $548,000 surplus, but in the next couple of years, we're going to start making those debt payments. And so that's going to consume most of that surplus. There are also a few other projects that are pretty large that will hit that debt service. So the Azalea Park improvements, or not the Azalea Park, the Azalea neighborhood infrastructure improvements, when that's completed, that debt service will hit this fund, as well as the larger project is the force main to the Okaloosa County plant. And so we need to reserve some funds so that we're able to move forward with that project as well. Any questions?
Yes.
Right.
Once the debt service kicks in, how will that impact our discretionary spending?
So unfortunately, that's a very difficult question to answer right now because it's going to depend a lot on whether or not the cost of those projects and what those come in at. The Azalea Park project, I would say is probably easier to project than the Okaloosa County wastewater project because there are a number of different grants that we plan to pursue. And so what we've tried to do with that project in particular is say, we know about what it would cost to rehab our sewer plant. And so trying to get the cost for the project to the county to be at parity with rehabbing the sewer plant. And so it's very difficult at this juncture to be able to give you a number there. We will always have to have enough revenue in this fund to be able to cover the maintenance issues, because I think we all know what happens when we're not able to fund the maintenance. And so that is something that when we come to giving recommendations for rates, we will have to have funding available for maintenance. And that's part of the reason, Councilmember Carter, that we did the asset management plan, is because we now have a long list of all the items that need to be completed.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the utilities? Okay, and so the next item is just the utilities, the capital. And so just like with the general fund, this is the list of one-time revenues as well as one-time expenses. The one that I just mentioned was the project to the Okaloosa County plant. And so we do have funds in here for the engineering component of the project. So we have 2.6 million in this budget for engineering. We have already received a $1 million appropriation from the state. We have another grant opportunity as well through the Department of Defense. And if there's anything left over, the plan is to cover or split that with Hurlburt Field. Now, I think as the council knows, we still have not received a final answer from Hurlburt Field. And so we're kind of in a holding pattern until we receive that response. The other big project on here, which we've already touched on, is the Azalea Park neighborhood water sewer improvements. And so the water component of that project is $2,330,000, and the sewer component of that project is a little over $2 million. So that's another large project. Finally, the last project I would mention here that we have is we do have the engineering for the project to replace the water line south of 98 from the western boundary of Mary Esther all the way to Andalusia Road. And so that's another project. That project we received a $3.5 million grant for as well. So that project is nearly, assuming the engineering estimates are correct, that project's nearly fully funded. Any questions on the capital projects under utilities?
I have a question. The fire hydrant valves, is that for the ones that run along 98?
That is for 10 fire hydrant valves. As far as where they are placed, that would be something that we would certainly lean on Jacobs for that decision as to the best use of those dollars.
98 would be.
Yeah, I think 98 should be the priority. Would that
What
also
we've-
include moving them back?
So that is just for the valves. So what we've done is we have a number of valves that are in the asset management plan. And so what we're trying to do is budget for so many every year. So these weren't necessarily tied to a specific location, but the funding is there for those valves.
Maybe after June, we might want to look at 98 being the priority.
One thing I should have led with, especially since we have members of the public here, is the process for the budget. So what we do as staff is we prepare a draft budget. We sit down with each council member one-on-one to kind of go through the entire thing so that they're aware of what's in it and that they're prepared. And then we come to this meeting, and this is the opportunity for all of them to have the discussion together. And then finally, after this meeting, if there are significant changes, we'll have another workshop similar to this one. And then we have public hearings scheduled for Wednesday, September 3rd and Tuesday, September 23rd at 6 p.m. And so in addition to this first meeting, we have two other opportunities to receive feedback. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. So the next thing would be we have the CIP, the 5-year CIP that is included in your packet. All of the items that we have budgeted in this current fiscal year budget are also in the CIP. And so at this point, it's mainly looking at, when you look at the CIP, are there any projects that you think we should move up or down the list? And let me see if that is, I'll just get the page for Dylan. That would start on, you'll probably get to it faster than I will. 66. And so, like I said, all the projects that we have in the current draft budget are in this CIP. And so the question is, are there any of these items that you feel like should be reprioritized? The reason that's important is because if it's a project that's planned for 5 years out, we won't put the same emphasis on that as we would a project that might be starting in 2027 or 2028. If it's a project that's 2 or 3 years out, we're going to be looking for grant funds for those projects and trying to get them set up for the next budget year. And so if there's something that's out in 2030 that you think should be higher up, please let us know. That way we can make that a priority in obtaining funding. Aside for that, I will answer any questions you'd like, or if you want to go through any of the detailed department budgets, I'm happy to do that as well.
Anybody have any questions? Larry? Don't want to forget you. Are you there? Larry?
Yes, my phone was trying to ring. I was trying to turn it off. My
No,
apologies.
did you have any questions?
Well,
we're
are we going to have
getting-
general comments, or is this the time and place for it now?
This is the time and place for comments, yes.
Okay. This is the first budget in quite a while that we actually have a deficit that we're dealing with, even though we can absorb the deficit and life would kind of be much the same. But Councilman Sutton said something I'm not sure when she said it, but basically she had some ideas and comments about our fire district, how we manage that with the Ocean City Fire Department. And we just went through a budget review, or excuse me, a contract validation process with Jacobs. And so I think it's time that we look at how we do fire and how we do public safety. This year, it's kind of ironic that the amount of the deficit and the contract with Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is pretty close. So that what got me taking a look at it. And to calm any fears, I'm not advocating canceling that contract, but I would like for the council to consider that, because we don't know what the red light cameras are going to produce. I think this is a good time, since we have time to think about it and discuss this amongst ourselves, that we do an evaluation of the fire and police contracts. Because I think it's, in fairness, when those contracts were first negotiated, the lay of the land is different. Right now we get 2 deputies, and this may be obvious to everyone else, but basically they are there for daytime only. So at night, the county is basically taking care of us. You know, we're not paying for what happens at night. And I know this may be an oversimplification, but we pay for services that are mainly for during the daytime hours. And right now from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. You know, the last reports I looked at, as far as amount of crime that happens at night, it varies. There is no particular point in time where it's worse during the nights or worse during the days. But daytime, you know, everybody's moving about. A lot of people see things, can call, report things. But the risk of, to us who are at home and sleeping, you know, there is no Mary Esther coverage, because that's the way our contract is structured. If we had 4 deputies, we're looking at about $600,000. So I think it's a good time to task the city manager to evaluate our contract for what we're getting for it and come back to us around January. And because by then we'll have an idea of what the red light cameras are going to produce. I've heard conservative numbers about $1 million, you know, that they could generate. Roughly not quite $40 would be our take per infraction. But, you know, setting all those things aside, I think we did Jacobs. I think it's a good time now to look at our fire and look at our public safety contract, because I never thought about, because we had the problem at the mall at night with the guys there and girls and racing and burning tires and then shots fired. That all happened at night, and our service from the county didn't miss a beat. So to think that if the county did our service in totality, they're doing well. I think it's not as bad as we may think it to be. and trust me, I'm not advocating termination of the contract, but when Councilman Sutton talked about the fire and we just did the Jacobs, I think it'd be a good time to bring our thinking forward and discuss amongst ourselves how we could, I think it's due to be reevaluated, whether we continue them or not. And please understand, I'm not advocating changing direction. I'm advocating evaluation because we did it with Jacobs. I think it's good to, and I really like Councilman Sutton's conversation about the fire. I think it's a good time we have that discussion. So if anything's changed, we can address it. And if we stay the course or we make a change, I think we've done it without the clock ticking and bills coming due. Because that's really what my purpose for bringing this up is that we have a chance to respond to these changing financial times on our terms. We're not having to decide between now and a deadline of raising the millage or canceling something we had planned on doing. I think this year we can. I support this budget as it is presented. I think we can move forward, but with the debt servicing coming online, we owe it to each other and to the citizens to do a top to bottom review of how much is coming in, how much is going out, and make those decisions without the pressure of a deadline of us deciding whether or not what we're going to cancel, what we're going to continue, because we have a chance to really think about it. And honestly, I don't know what the red light cameras are going to do. You know, it may be the answer to our problem. The local residents will probably learn those cameras and do differently. So we're just looking at basically people who are not local, who may not care about the red light and do what they've always done. You know, but that revenue is predicated on people violating the law, and I don't know, you know, how well we should depend on that. So that's kind of my sentiments with this budget. I had a long discussion with Jarrett twice, matter of fact, and I talked to Cat Ruiz because I wanted to get some insight to that contract. But basically, our contract as we have only gives us 12 of the 24 hours each day. So what would be different if we didn't have that contract? Not a whole lot, because we see every night, you know. And personally, I would think we would have more coverage at night versus during the day, you know, when we don't have any coverage from the contract coverage. We don't have any, let me restate, we don't have any contract coverage at night, if I understand the contract correctly. And with the advent of all these flock cameras, we could really change our surveillance footprint for Mary Esther, because a deputy, whether he's on our contract or not, he can only be one place at a time. And those cameras, we could have them strategically located so we could really have all our choke points as far as people coming into our city and leaving our city. You know, same thing with those shots fired. I mean, we would be able to play that tape back and see, you know, what was going on as far as people leaving the neighborhood. The cameras, the sheriff's office do enjoy them. Well, let me phrase, they're a force multiplier to the sheriff's office because they don't take breaks and they don't go out sick because they're always there. So in summary, ladies and gentlemen, I think that given what we did with Jacobs and we liked it and we kept it, I think we should go through a similar exercise with our fire protection point and our public safety. And I like to give credit to Councilman Sutton to that conversation she started about fire. I think we should pick that up again and because I would really love to take the opportunity for the time we have. And if you guys, ladies and gentlemen, agree, I would like to have a motion once everyone has a chance to discuss that we task the city manager to do that analysis for us and come back and say in January, so we can, because it looks like we may have to make some adjustments anyway, but we'll have an idea how much the cameras are brought in from school zone, because we'll have August through December. So we see what that looks like, so we can make an educated choice. But I think that we owe it to ourselves and to our citizens to look at those two contracts. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
So, Mayor, so what Councilmember Carter, thank you very much. What I had proposed is that we go into Ocean City Right Fire District. So that way the millage rate that we pay for the fire district would be separate, and then we could reduce the millage rate in the city to compensate, so it would be basically a wash. But that's something, that I have mentioned it before, like when we actually talked about the water and sewer and all the program. And as far as our two biggest contracts are the fire and Jacobs. It's our water and our fire. The sheriff's department, we actually, our Okaloosa County taxes pay for the sheriff's department. So the extra 300 and some odd thousand that we're paying for the sheriff's department is actually supposed to be for enhanced services. Now, I do not like that contract the way it's written, and I do think it needs to have a review because to me, enhanced services, we should be dictating what we want them to do in our city because we're paying for them to be here. Not just getting, okay, they just sit here in our city. Because even if they're called if they have an emergency in Fort Walton or Shalimar, they are still going to leave our city and go to that call, which they rightfully should. But I do think if we're paying for enhanced services from the sheriff's department, then we should have some say in what services they are providing. So that's my 2 cents today.
Okay.
To go to Ocean Right, would that involve a public vote?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That would involve I believe, the
State rep.
state legislature.
Yeah.
And so that was part of that review, was actually seeing, looking at revenues and expenses, what that looks like, as far as keeping our existing contract versus going into their district, as well as the actual process and timeline to getting there. So the idea of the law enforcement contract would be a little different
Mhm.
in the sense that you're probably looking at, what services are you getting for the contract that you have? What would you potentially do if you didn't have the contract? I think one of the items that Councilmember Carter mentioned was the LPR cameras, which is essentially those are the cameras that take a picture of your license plate. So if you have a crime that's committed in the community, later on the sheriff's department can go and look at those cameras and see, run the tags to see if that person indeed came through Mary Esther. So yeah, this would be a little different than the fire contract review. But if it was something council wanted to do, then we could certainly put something together so that you have it.
Well, and also like Mr. Carter said or Councilman Sutton said, what we want in the contract, not what the contract tells us we get, but, Carter was saying, nighttime surveillance, that could be an option. Things like that, come up with some different ideas than what we've got now. So that would be something that could be researched. But
Okay. I was here when we went through this drill with the sheriff's department before on the contract. We asked them to go do a study for the last, and forgive me, I don't remember, it was 3 or 5 years. And they came back and showed us the crime rates for the 3 to 5 years. They showed us per hour where the crime rate was at. Unfortunately, it was all daytime. That's why we went with a daytime requirement. It was their recommendation. We had more crime in daylight than we did at night. Doesn't mean we shouldn't reevaluate it, because we should. Times have changed. Also, prices have changed. I'll throw this one out there. I'm all for looking at it and studying, but also, if you notice Pensacola on the Chappie James, they want to put it at the bridge. 5 years ago, they estimated it was $2 or $3 million. Now they want 20 to 30 to complete it. So you can study things to death and we're not moving along. Same way Herbert Field dragging their feet on the water, sewer and everything else. Because I keep getting asked, when are we going to do this? Good question.
Yeah.
Whenever the Air Force decides to do it.
Deemed it.
So, yeah, I'm all for studying it and ask for the reports. Again, I believe the sheriff, they provide it every month. So, yeah, they have all the statistics, go back and let's see when is the best time to do it. And you're right, we're still covered 24/7. Now, it's not enhanced, and I don't care if it is the sheriff. And I've seen the highway patrol at the library before. I've seen Florida wildlife and game people, again, law enforcement. I don't care what the badge says. If he's a Leo law enforcement officer, he can arrest anybody. So yeah, whoever's available, I'm all for it. I'm not, oh, it's got to be one of our deputies. No, it doesn't. Whoever is available, come help me.
Well,
So,
and to that.
thank you. I'm done.
That credit, Florida Highway Patrol has actually stepped up patrol in our region, not just Mary Esther, to combat the street racing. So they have actually partnered with Fort Walton Beach and doing a lot of patrols. And they are hitting our area as well to kind of combat all of the street racing and antics that do go on in those dark hours. But the crime, I mean, if you go online, it's that when you do statistics, okay, if you're not catching the crime, that's a problem. So you don't have that in your statistics to show that there's crime at night, but you can go on Nextdoor, Facebook. I mean, my house alone has been I've had someone try to break into it twice in 2.5 years. I mean, so, there's crime in our area that's not in the statistics. And like I said, you can see in Nextdoor, people post, ring cameras of people checking cars and, we're never going to stop crime for sure, but yeah, I do think we're paying 300 and some odd thousand for enhanced services. I do think we should have somewhat of a say. I'm not necessarily opposed to the hours or whatever, but for the service that we're providing, they shouldn't just be at the mall or Target answering calls all day long, because Target can hire some private security to help with the theft, and the mall can hire some security to help with the vagrants issues. That should not fall solely on just the sheriff's department to constantly go to those.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate the comments I've heard. Basically, Councilman Sutton and Mayor Pro Tem Oder, you've made my case in the sense that our understanding of what the contract provides is not the same. We have an understanding, and yes, Mayor Pro Tem Oder, what it was before, I remember those days. And to some degree that ship has sailed. And while all law enforcement have the mandate, when they see a crime, they have to respond to it. But those who are patrolling our areas, whose job is to give us that enhanced service, that's why we have a city, because we want an elevated service for our citizens that live in Mary Esther. Now, what does that elevated service look like, and how are we going to pay for it? 'Cause I know that I think this contract, and I'm not picking on Okaloosa, but I think it was around 270 or 275, and now it's at 300,000. This year was the modest increase, I think, of 7%, but we had a couple of years where it was 10. So it's one contract that, rest assured, it is going to grow, and our revenue is not growing with it. And thank you, Councilman Sutton, for clarifying about your proposal. But I think, we should move on that, because we won't have an answer. Because one of the things, as far as generating revenue, except for the red light cameras, we don't really have anything else on the horizon. The idea of selling land and the wetlands, that's kind of stuck on hold. Even we sold some land today, our revenue won't change for 5 years because of what it takes to do that. So I'm advocating that and this is my point, right now we have the opportunity to figure this out without pressure. And I agree with you, Mayor Pro Tem Oder, you can study some things to death. There's a joke within the church circles, send it in the committee, because it'll die. It'll never pass. You'll never get anything done with it. So my point is that drawing a line in the sand, that the city manager comes back to the council with some definitive answers on these particular issues, and let us begin to move forward, because the debt servicing is coming and has a lot of uncertainty with that. So I think it's in our best interest to do what we can now, where we can control the narrative as far as we got time to discuss, we can move things around, we can change priorities. But if we have another shortfall next year, and right now, I think we will, I see nothing that's going to tell us that we won't. And in 4 or 5 years, I think this is the first time we've actually had one, because we've been doing so well. And I realize some of the projects are now coming forth, and I'm not talking doom and gloom, and I'm not saying we need to sell the farm, but I think it's a good time for us to take advantage of what's before us and see what the red light cameras do. And I agree with Councilman Sutton that the enhanced service, first of all, what does that mean? What does it look like? And does we all have the same understanding of what that is? Because the deputy at our contract, he is confined in that geographical location unless something of a dire need has to supersede him leaving that zone. And at Target, I probably, if anybody's going to be upset with us, I think Target, because they use the Oakland County Sheriff's Office more than anybody else because most of their retail thefts are during the day. And I agree with Councilman Sutton. They should have their own security. So it's almost like we're paying for their loss prevention program. And that's kind of maybe an oversimplification of the facts. But my singular point is we all do not have the same understanding of what the contract provides, enhanced or greater services, and what does that look like? I think for Councilman Sutton's home to be tagged that many times, and anybody could have responded, yeah, that are there, but I think the idea of traffic stops, a lot of things happen during the daytime because a lot of people moving around. Yes, the data did show daytime, but we never peeled it back from the standpoint of where is our greatest risk? In our homes at night when there's no one there, or because there's no one patrolling the streets at night except if there's a call. And so far, those calls have been answered very judiciously, and we've been very well taken care of. So we pay taxes to the county to take care of our city, and maybe it's time to look at that again. I don't know. My main point is, if the council so agrees that the city manager and his staff bring us some answers back in January.
Okay.
Yeah, just to clarify, I know, Larry, not trying to be derogatory or anything, but you keep saying red light cameras. I just want to make sure that everybody realizes it's not red light cameras, it's the school zone cameras that we're
thank you.
talking about. Yeah,
Thank you.
people think we're going to put them on our red lights. It's the school zone ones that were approved through the state.
I appreciate your correction. Thank you.
I'll just add to that real quickly too, if I could. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. As far as the cameras in the school zone, so the 3 studies that we had conducted showed that there were more than 700 violations a day. So more than 700 people going 11 miles per hour or over the speed
That
limit
is just
within the
crazy.
school zone. And so the purpose of installing that tool is to be able to manage that, because when these are installed, they've seen reductions of 80 to 95%. Unfortunately, one of the biggest motivators to getting people to slow down is citations. And so that is the purpose of that program. And it likely will not be up and running until October. So we had our kickoff meeting last Friday with the firm that we've contracted with. And so it'll probably be about October. So I just want to make sure that was clear to everybody.
Well, and
I
think
missed your
I'm
order.
sorry.
Go ahead, Barney.
The other thing I would suggest, if we're going to do comparisons, and we did this before, we asked the Fort Walton Beach Police Department to give us their evaluation, which, by the way, back in the day, granted, this was many years ago, we were the safest city in the state of Florida, the lowest crime rate. Granted, that was many years ago. So I'm all for, again, I believe in having multiple evaluations. The other one, we also worked with Fort Walton Beach. We said, same way at the fire department. Give us an idea what it would take to combine or join or however else, give us some options here. And then we, at that time, the council decided we wanted a one public safety contract. We didn't want to get a separate police one and a separate fire one. And it was a good thing we didn't, because shortly thereafter, Fort Walton Beach started their fire assessment fee, which they used half the money to pay regular salaries. And that's where they had some real issues. And most of them got fired from the city council because they took money that should have been only for the fire and was putting it at other places. So I'm all for evaluating. I really am. And again, I wish we could ask Herbert to come over and, I mean, they won't do that, but I mean, there's many ways we can look at this and figure out, you're right, let's dig down and where we want to go. And again, and you're right, you're absolutely correct. We cannot afford to put a sheriff on every street corner. That ain't going to happen. But within reason, what are we willing to accept and what are we willing to pay and how are we going to pay for it? Because it's not going to go down. I mean, look at the prices from 2005 till now. Yeah, that's
Well,
all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Odor. One of my biggest concerns is I don't love the school camera, but that goes to a greater issue of that there are over 700 a day. Well, our sheriff's department has a policy that they prefer to give warnings versus citations. Point and take, over the weekend, a motorcyclist was pulled over in Okaloosa County and was given a warning. Wasn't even an hour later, he was clocked doing 91 and a 35. They then finally arrested him and impounded the bike. Warnings are no longer working for these people. This is part of the issue that I have with the sheriff's department contract is, and we get the monthly reports and it shows the amount of vehicles they pull in our city, which are minimal. I mean, frankly, minimal. And the majority are given a warning. Well, if I'm constantly giving warnings, I'm gonna keep doing it. I mean, that's most people. So like I said, I do think we need to reevaluate some of the contract. I'm not opposed to doing a contract with the sheriff's department, but we're paying for enhanced services. So there needs to be something for our citizens that are getting an enhancement. That's all I'd like to see.
Mayor,
Okay, go ahead.
So we're at a point where we're
We're-
just
we're
gonna
going around in
reassess. Yeah, we
circles
are.
for
We're
a while.
kind of repeating.
Larry, you gonna say something new?
I'll pass.
Okay. Do I have all right,
Real quick.
Go ahead.
I promise I won't repeat. So my only suggestion would be if council does want to develop a study, would be that maybe you have a motion along the lines of to direct staff to develop a scope of work for a study exploring various law enforcement models and options for our community. Something like that so that staff can come back to you with a scope that you're comfortable with and you want to proceed with, and then you approve that first, so that we have clear direction.
Right. You're not chasing.
okay, so you're gonna come up with a scope and it's gonna be put out to us what you think we need to reevaluate. And
No.
then you vote on it and then you go do it. Is that what
No.
you're saying?
If there are items tonight that you know for sure that you want staff to look at, we will certainly add it to the list. The only thing I'm suggesting is that we have a very clear scope that you want this report to cover. And so the easiest way to do that probably is for you all to give staff feedback. We'll combine all of that to a scope and bring it back to you for approval.
And you wanna do that tonight?
No.
I just have a basic question. So like with the sheriff's department contract, is that something that we can even change the terms?
Bid contract, right?
That would be up to the sheriff's department. I can't give you an answer to that tonight. It would depend on what those terms are. There are certain things that they're probably going to be more flexible on than others. Hours is probably one of them. I mean, if you're going from days to nights, that's probably an easier change than if there are other specific, more specific issues like dealing with retail theft. That's probably a longer conversation.
When is their contract up? When can we cancel?
The contract is aligned with our fiscal year.
So
So it's
we got
October
till the
1 through
end of
September 30th.
1 October to do all this, if we're gonna do it for 26.
If you want to do something for this next fiscal year.
Okay. Just a date.
And that's not what I'm asking.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but this January is not gonna be good. It's gotta be October if we're gonna have our ducks in a row and want to change the contract for them to do different items instead of what they're doing now.
If we do something different with the county, I was thinking fiscal year 27, not 26.
Okay, so you want to.
That's why I give us time without the pressure of trying to do something now between now and October.
I understand. Okay, I just want to make sure that we
Yes,
or
sir.
27?
And just to clarify too, I have not read the entire contract in a while, so there may be a clause that you can give 60-day notice, 90-day notice. I'm not sure. That wasn't something that was proposed for this meeting, so I don't have that for you at this
Yeah,
time.
we just brought it, this one item up.
Okay, so
Okay,
like, relooking at the contract for law enforcement,
Yeah,
what the options would be for fire. And next.
And like I said, if there's a consensus to that, I don't even know that you necessarily need to make a motion because your actual approval would be of that scope of work.
do we want to do this? Do we
So-
have a consensus that we want?
I think it would be smart to do, to have the answers for any residents that want to know. So I think it's the smartest thing to do. For-
Okay.
For us as a council, make a decision and to answer questions to
Councilman
residents.
Sutton, I'm sure you're in agreement with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Carter, you brought it up, so you're obviously in agreement, right? To do the review, can you hear me?
Oh, you're
No,
muted.
your phone went away again,
He's muted.
but he brought it up, so. I
Yes,
guess-
I'm for it. Yeah, I'm struggling hearing the rest of the council. That's all.
Yeah, just, they're all in favor of what you were talking about. Well, I got two so far. I'm looking at you. You're in favor of review, right?
Mhm.
Richard? Okay, and Bernie?
Yes, public
Okay.
safety, yes.
So we have a consensus that, we're gonna go. So is that what you want?
Yes, sir. So I'll bring you back a scope for that report. And in the meantime, if there is anything that individually that you all would like me to look at, please let me know and I'll include that for the
Okay.
discussion.
Great. All right. Go ahead. You got one more, Bernie? Come on.
No, it's gonna be a small-
Oh. Go for it.
I was gonna say, yeah, have the state change it. We can carry our concealed weapons in the council meetings, but that ain't not gonna happen. So
Okay, all right.
That's gonna work.
We can do it online, though. We can carry concealed weapons online. All right, let's, where are we at now? Are we, public. Would you like, does anybody in the public wish to comment about what you heard tonight? Put your 2 cents in. I mean, you're welcome. You came all the way. You are welcome to say, huh? I mean, I'm as confused as anybody, but if you could clarify it, but no, if this is our budget for next year and so that's what we're doing.
Just trying to streamline. You'll come in at a great time.
Mayor.
Budget's always a little, this is the
Mayor.
first meeting. Welcome to.
What?
Chris.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry, ma'am. You want to say something?
No.
Okay, then you don't need to come up. If you want to say something, then you need to go up, identify yourself. But yeah, all right, you okay? Both of you? All right, well, we'll close it for public then. And I'm going to read this now? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, here I'm going to read. Read the following for public record. Okay. The fiscal year 2025 millage rate is 5.0261. The current rollback rate is 4.8756. The proposed fiscal year 2026 millage rate is 5.261, same as 25. Budget hearings are scheduled for Wednesday, September 3rd, and Tuesday, September 23rd at 6 p.m. at Mary Esther City Hall. Okay, and then I'm looking for a motion to set the fiscal year 2026 tentative millage rate at 5.0261, which is what it is now.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Oh, we got a second by Mr. Carter. Okay, good. Any more discussion on it?
Is everything?
Let's
you
go ahead
said
and vote.
Correct?
Huh?
Is everything he said
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, just the one clarification. It was mentioned at the end, but the proposed fiscal year 2026 millage rate is 5.0261.
Did I not say that?
Just the time before, I think you said 5.261. So just so that it's abundantly clear, it's to
5.0261.
correct,
Okay.
to keep the millage rate the same. So thank you.
Millage rate's the same. Let's go ahead and vote. All right, Mr. Carter said yes. And
Yes.
everybody else says yes, so you're unanimous on that. Is there anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, does any of the council have any comments they wish to make or anything? I mean, it's not on the thing, but
No, sir.
we're okay? All right, anybody for you, staff, anything comment? Anybody else? Library, want to say something? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Carter.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you for everything.
Hey, thank you for coming.
Welcome to Mary Esther.